Attention, podcasters. Turn your mic into money. The future of podcasting sponsorship is right here, right before your very eyes. For creators, small businesses, this is going to be a game changer. Today, we are introducing Podcash. And why this changes everything? Tune in.
Welcome to the Business After Hours, where the ties loosen, the suit relax, and we talk business without the boardroom. Grab your favorite drink, kick back, and let's dive into the world of business after hours.
All righty. Welcome back to another episode of Business After Hours podcast here with my co-host, Jared. How are you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing good, but I just can't believe it's already going to be May here in the next couple weeks. Yeah, I feel like we just celebrated Christmas the other day. You know, it's like
Oh, that was Easter.
no, but I mean, like me and you celebrated Christmas. Like it felt like it was just like a couple weeks ago, a month ago. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like it's almost
we're already
5 months.
Almost 5 months into the year already. Completed 4 months. It's crazy.
The time goes fast.
Well, we're here to bring some exciting news today, but first we want to talk about starting a podcast. Obviously, we know that podcasting is a huge, continuously growing. It's extremely easy to start a podcast. As you know, like just buy a mic, unless you don't mind it, some headphones if you like. As you see, Jared has headphones. I don't. And a computer or a laptop of some sort, and internet access, and bam, you got a podcast, right? So it's easy.
Yep. It's kind of one of those things that, I mean, obviously, you know, if you're doing a podcast, you already understand what it was to start it, you know. And I remember when we both talked about starting our podcast, it for me seemed a little intimidating at first, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know where to stream. I didn't know where to, you know, like what mic would work great, headsets, you know, so it can be kind of overwhelming while you're starting it through that first initial process. But once you get going, it's great. You know, it's very easy to do. It's very um, limited in technology information that you need, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess like you could make it complicated getting started by, making sure you have like a really good mic that you don't need to start with, or really good headphones, or
mhm.
really good software that you need to purchase. You can literally start a podcast if you already have internet and you have some sort of device. Like you can start it for free.
You can even use your phone. You know?
Yeah, you can use your phone. You can use anything to start a podcast. And like you had kind of touched too, you kind of need a little guts too, because it can be intimidating. Of where do I
Definitely can.
start? What do I do?
Yeah, just I think it's important just to start the recording, right? You know, just start that first episode, and then once you get that first one done, you start, you know, creating that snowball effect, you know,
Right.
and it becomes easier. It definitely does. You know, I'm one that's kind of shy on camera, or you know, I'm not a big camera person,
Sure.
so it was a little intimidating. But yeah, I mean, once you get going, it's really, you know, really easy.
Yeah. So starting it is easy. Obviously, the hard part is one, the consistency of it, of how often you do it, and two, growing your
Mhm.
podcast.
Absolutely.
Those are probably two of the most frustrating and hardest things to do, in my opinion.
For me, you know, I definitely agree with you, but I also feel like, you know, if you're going to be doing like guests in that, that's a whole nother thing too in itself, you know, trying to find guests at work, or, you know, try to actually find somebody to show up for your podcast. I mean, how many times have we sat here waiting on somebody to come in and they, you know, they no show. So to me, it's like the guests are kind of that, if you're that type of podcast, you don't have to be a podcast with guests. But you know, it can be kind of hard to find your first, you know, people.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, and obviously we know that there's websites out there, obviously, that you can do that are now starting to charge. So
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, I don't necessarily want to throw any names out there, but there's definitely one that's very popular in the podcasting industry, that you used to be able to do kind of limited stuff for free, you know, but just recently they completely took that off. Now you got like a 30-day free trial, and then you have to pay for it. And so again, like, starting out, your budget may not be that big, and so being able to afford, like StreamYard, for example, we have to pay for that, right? That costs
And they went
money.
up through the
You know,
roof too.
editing, if we, if you want to do editing, if so there can be a lot of micro charges that kind of add up because you know, they're all there.
Right. Yeah, no,
So
that's a good point because we see that with and obviously the rise of podcasting has created to where now the things that used to be free or cheap, like StreamYard, used to be fairly reasonable. It's like $250 for the year, $200 for the year. Now
yeah,
the base price is $500 a year. Like a lot of money when one you're not making any money doing podcasting. Like it takes a long time to actually make money doing podcast. Um, so when you have like these services that charge out the ass, really, because to
or
me,
or
500 bucks,
change their policy, like that one, they went
yeah,
from offering some free stuff to completely paid.
yeah, and
So,
so like one, it's not reliable. So if you were on like even finding guests on certain sites, then you could now all of a sudden if you have to pay for that, like now that's another expense. And podcasting can be expensive, especially if you're not making any money, right?
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
between all the services, like you had said, editing software, StreamYard, how to record, you got to pay for it somehow. Whether
mhm,
it's even Zoom or any of the other platforms, and
absolutely.
then
Yeah.
calendars, got to get the calendar, and obviously you want to try to automate some of this stuff so that things go out automatically, so
No,
you don't
I think
forget.
that's you kind of hit it on the, there too, where, most of us are trying to do this, as cheap as possible. So, you know what I mean? Because this is not
Yeah,
like, I know for us, it's not our full-time job, right? It's just something we really enjoy doing, being able to interview, business owners and being able to just show the world of entrepreneurship, from a relaxed standpoint, not the boardroom, not anything like that. So that can be hard as well.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that that's where I think that we see obviously Joe Rogan and Shannon Sharp now just got like $100 million deal, and we see that like yeah, podcasting can be big, and I think people see that and they're like, okay, I can do that. Hmm. It's a lot harder to grow an audience than people think.
I think that's kind of an important thing, is understanding that you're not going to become a millionaire, overnight. You're not, it takes time. It takes, repetition. It takes, being, you know, just nose to the ground, just moving
Right.
forward. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to understand that. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to make 100 million in your first year. You know what I mean? And so,
Or 10
um,
years,
yeah,
or
I
ever.
mean, maybe 10 years, but you know what I mean. Again, it takes a lot of work.
Right.
That's you putting in the work. Absolutely. So,
Yeah, I mean, so just to be transparent with everybody in our audience is that we are not monetized at all on our any
no,
of platforms. So, for instance, just looking at numbers here on YouTube, where we obviously we have 355 videos uploaded and only 83 subscribers. Obviously, not monetized because you need at least 1,000 and then 4,000 viewing hours. So now you have to become a master at
it's growing.
algorithms,
Yep, absolutely.
right? And
Or,
so like
yeah,
even on our so we also upload to uh Spotify and Apple and those podcasts, and we don't average but a handful of
downloads a week.
downloads per week. So not monetized on that either. So like built in 355 videos later, over a year later, we're still not even at 100 subs, but some people might quit at that point. So why haven't we
Yeah, I
quit?
mean, we definitely could have quit a long time ago. Just I think with the frustration, I think we come close, maybe, because of guests and that, because it can be frustrating, when you're putting to the side your time, for free, when you could be, in your business doing stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some times that it's like, why are you continuing? But I don't know. I don't know the word quit. So
Yeah. No, and I think it just comes back down to we just enjoy it too. Like
yeah.
it's not about numbers. I mean, is it exciting getting emails that say that we hit certain thousand
Oh
views?
yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like
Absolutely.
it's cool. Um, would we like to see better growth? Of course. Like we don't do this just to do it, but we do enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of engagement, and that's okay. Like I'm not too concerned about it just because again, we enjoy it.
Well, I think the other thing is too understanding that you may need to adapt to some changes because when we first started, right, we were doing hour long, videos, and it was like, ugh, like nobody was getting past the 10-20 minute mark, and so it was like, well, shit, why don't we cut it down a little bit, and then that way we can hopefully bring some more interest in there. But I think understanding that you need to adapt to some changes, and understand that you may need to pivot a little bit. Um, yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah. No, and absolutely be flexible about it, have fun with it until you like hit your stride, I guess. And we haven't hit ours yet. And maybe someday we will. Maybe it's the lack of professionalism. I don't know. But I enjoy doing it. So for me, it doesn't really matter to me.
Same.
I had a
I just really enjoy meeting, all these various businesses and business owners, and just seeing that, there are some, I don't want to say crazy, but there's some things that like you never even thought of as a business or a company, and so I think that's kind of exciting for me is just learning about people's businesses.
Yeah. No, I agree, and learning from their downfalls and their successes, and the trenches in between that we all know is entrepreneurship. I mean, like the last guest we had on, he defined what he felt like was the difference between entrepreneur and business owner. And I thought that was an interesting perspective that I kind of agree with.
Yeah,
Entrepreneurship is a lifestyle. Business ownership is kind of your job now. And whatnot. So you get different perspectives, different ways of doing things,
mhm.
and that's why I've enjoyed it. Is just get to learn.
I agree. I mean, I think if you think you're not done developing as a person, as a business owner, just everything, like it's important to learn different styles. It's important to see, the different people out there, the different, operations out there, the way they handle things, And I know there's been times where we don't necessarily agree with the guests on how they're doing things, but if it works for them, it works for them. And there may be a guest out there that hears what they say and say, you know what, I think that might work for me too. And so
I
that's
agree.
that's the big thing.
Yeah, and so kind of segues on to the next topic. Um, if you're a podcaster or you aspire to be a podcaster, I would highly suggest that you pay attention to this because I think that we have created something that will change podcasting. I don't want to say forever or change the dynamic of
Uh,
it,
I, I'm
but
saying forever.
okay. Well, we'll go
Yeah,
forever.
I,
I do
I
believe
definitely
that
think
we
it
have
will.
something in the works that could change podcasting. One, help grow it, and two, get you monetized
Mhm.
pretty quickly. So, Jared,
Absolutely.
you want to take it away?
Yeah. So me and Jeff had been sitting here, I don't know, a couple months ago or that, talking, and it was like, man, I wish there was a way that we could become, monetized, or at least make a little bit of money to kind of offset some of the stuff that we do for guests, and so I just kind of hit the ground running and just started developing this. And so what we developed was what we call Podcash AI. Um, and it's exciting, because what the idea there is, connecting podcasters, to small business owners, and partnering up with the two. So we're, looking at audiences from one subscriber, all the way to millions of subscribers, and that we've developed it so that it kind of will work for the little guys more than honestly the bigger guys, because to me those are the guys that need a little bit of help. Those are the guys that if they just could make a little money, they'd keep going. And so
Right.
so yeah, so I mean we started with that. and I developed that, and then honestly, we got hit with the other news that the other um, platform that we were using to get guests was kind of changing to be charged. And so I wanted to develop things that were not going to necessarily, cost you a whole lot it's getting started. So
Right.
this platform is almost going to be 100% free to get started. And so what I also did though, and through this, everything, you got to be flexible, right? You know what I mean? And so when we heard that they were getting, or that platform was going to be charging, you, regardless of, what you're looking to do, they said if
Yeah.
you're getting on that platform, you're going to be charged. So that was kind of the first thing that I wanted to do, was um, make sure, and I'll show you guys just a little bit of it. Let's see here.
The site is not live yet.
Nope. All right. So again, this is called podcasting. Podcast AI. And what I went ahead and did after learning that, and this has kind of not really been mentioned anywhere else for us, but I wanted to again create something that would allow people to also get guests on their podcast. And so now when they go into the profiles, they can actually toggle on if they're looking for guests or if they are available to be a guest. And then we have a chat feature where you can be able to reach out to those individuals and, see either, if you're looking for a guest, you can reach out to them and get guests, or, if you're looking as well, people can get out, And so I wanted to be able to at least kind of or add that in, just because what's there anymore? What do we
Right.
have to find guests? Either, social media or, you know, really that platform is kind of the only thing I was able to find. Um, and so we brought that into this platform for podcasters, because it's important to be able to find guests, talk to your guests, as well as being able to get onto episodes. So this platform really is designed for podcasters and advertisers. And what we consider advertisers are the small businesses. And what we've done here um, is, we allow the advertiser to go ahead and put their company info in their website, any description they're looking for when it comes to, uh, you know, what they're looking for their advertising, whether it be, I just want them to read a 10-minute script or a quick 30-second script. I want to make a video that I want you to put in there, or it could just be a shout out too,
Right.
and so that would go there. Depending on the company, they can obviously target different styles of podcasting, whether it be us like business, or a technology podcast, or even like a gaming podcast if they're and then they can obviously select their audience size. So what we did was we kind of broke it up and kind of gave this little recommended pricing. So if you've got 1 to 50 listeners, we're saying, hey, $1 to $5 should be pretty good for those audiences. It's not going to make you rich, but hey, it's going to help you out. You know, um, and then we kind of go down that way. And all of these are recommendations. So whatever the small business wants to do, on what they want to pay for the advertising is going to be up to them.
Well, I mean,
But
like a negotiation tactic, right?
yeah,
Between the
there could be.
podcaster and the advertisers. So like if a 0 to 150 listener, what and the advertiser wants a more detailed ad, then it's obviously going to be more than $5.
Yeah, and so and that's going to be the important thing when we're talking to small businesses about getting them on here, is going to try to precondition them to what we want to see from them. But we also want to give the small business a voice. We want them to be able to pay for advertising that's not going to break the bank. It's not going to cost them a whole lot, and sure, it may only be $1, it may be only $5, but you're helping out the podcaster, you're getting your business out there,
Yeah.
and then hopefully, what we also would like to see, or and hope that it would happen this way, is that the small business owner that's doing the advertising will also advertise your podcast, right? Because they want to let their guests, their audience know, hey, I've got an advertisement in this podcast. So hopefully that would allow them to grow the
Correct.
podcast as well with the help of the advertising. So it's kind of a teamwork in this platform. Um, but I think it's going to be a great platform for both parties, for both sides of the house. And I think it's really going to help develop podcasts, and create a long-term podcast system out there.
I agree. I agree. This can be something that one helps obviously small businesses, but two also help the smaller podcasters. Obviously, if you can get just a couple of ads, that might pay for a service that you need, like Opus Clips or StreamYard
Yeah.
or any other type of content,
Editing,
maybe a new equipment that you might need. So at least it'll help take a little bit of the burden off of your own personal finances while you are growing your podcast.
I think and I think the other thing is that will also need to be mentioned and talked about later on is that, even though you're a small podcaster, you don't want to sign up for, 10 advertisement deals, right? Because then your podcast becomes nothing but advertising, right? And so how do you advertise 10 times? Like we say typically 1 to 3 should be enough. I think
This
three,
is per episode, so that like
yeah,
$5 is per episode, not just $5 period. It's so like if they want to advertise in multiple episodes, obviously, then that's $5 times how many ever episodes they want to
and
do.
that's the way it is built, so that they put the amount that they want to pay overall, and then they select the number of episodes. They put the condition out there, and so you're going to know as soon as you open up this advertisement what they're looking for and whether or not you actually fit what they're looking for. Now we've built it so that when an advertiser posts, somebody likes it, they can say, hey, I want to take the advertisement, but um it still has got to be approved by the advertiser. So just because you say, hey, I want that, does not mean that you're going to actually get it.
Right,
The advertiser is going to want to look at your profile and see who you are as a podcast, and make sure that it obviously meets their needs of what they're
right.
looking for advertising. So but yeah, I think it's going to change the game. I really do. I think it's
Yeah, I mean,
something
it's
that's not out there, and it's going to be good. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's pretty much like a one-stop shop for podcasters. So you get to meet other podcasters, you get to potentially be a guest or have other guests on where you can match make. You can also figure out how to earn your money. And all of this is like all your money is all tracked as well. So that like come tax
Absolutely.
time, you know exactly how much you had. You didn't have to worry about keeping the record of how much you earned for this podcast.
But I think it's
Which
also
also
that you can get to see, where you started, and then how much money you've been able to make so far, and so you get to see all of that.
right. Yeah, no, I mean, and so like you get to track everything. And then obviously as one podcast AI continues to grow, like we're going to make changes too. So that's where like you guys especially in the early onset, we're going to lean on you guys heavily to add anything that you might think we need, that we can add,
Please.
that we can subtract, that we can change things. So we're going to be looking for a lot of feedback too from people.
And that's, yeah, I think that kind of brings into our other thing that, we're gonna try to kick off a Kickstarter, to help
We
try to
are
fund this.
not trying
Obviously,
to.
oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so we are starting the Kickstarter. Hopefully it'll be launched. What is it? Monday? I forget the date. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, Monday the 28th is when it should be starting. So if you think like this may be something that is life changing for word podcasting, and you feel like this is going to change the world, please check out our Kickstarter. You can see more of the platform. There's a video there that's going to show a little bit more in depth of the platform. And then that's kind of also where we'd like to see any feedback. Maybe you guys saw something that, maybe we need to change a little bit. So we're trying to keep that 30-day window for the Kickstarter so that we can try to feel out how everybody's accepting it, and
Right.
wanting to be involved with it. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, we'll definitely include the link. and down below. So, please check out our Kickstarter. Please donate if you want. If you don't want to donate, that's fine. We'll be still launching this, whether we make $1 or 100,000. We're still moving forward with this platform. So this platform is definitely coming out. It just may be like how quickly we're able to get off the ground is going to dictate that.
Yeah, no, I mean, and obviously with your help, whether you back us financially or if at least maybe just share the Kickstarter too. It doesn't have
Please,
to be
definitely.
like, we'd probably appreciate honestly sharing it more than we do financially given, just because want to help spread the word about PodCashAi, that we can help launch this and really change the game and start leveling out the podcast economy a little flat. Now, instead of $100 million deals, hopefully little guys start getting some
That,
payment of some sort, and we just continue to grow the podcasting community that is growing exponentially. I mean, I think pretty much everybody I know almost seems like starts a podcast at some point. Whether they complete it and like continue it is a whole different story, but something like this could help them keep them
keep
motivated,
going. Keep them going. Absolutely.
because that is part of the struggles, is obviously when finances get tight at home and now you have this hobby essentially that you're doing called a podcast, and it's costing you 100 $200 a month. Well, that's a strain on the household budget.
Absolutely.
And obviously, if you're not growing and you're not making money, why do it if it's costing you $200 a month or whatever? Hopefully this will be able to help offset that, so it creates less chaos in the budget, the personal budget, or your business budget, wherever you put your podcast at. And we obviously get people that help you get guests, or you become guests, or whatever the case might be. We do believe that podcast can be a one-stop shop to podcasting.
I agree, and I kind of just want to piggyback off Jeff and just say, like, we're not necessarily looking for the money, but we would love for y'all, all of y'all, to just share this to other podcasters. If you could just share it to one other podcaster, we can get this out quicker. We can get this out. We can blow it up even bigger. We can make it a truly life-changing platform for podcasters.
Yeah, I mean, and just also engaging with this podcast, whether you thumbs up it, comment, download it, engage with it somehow, share this particular episode, that can help. It definitely can be something that one would help a podcaster that you probably know, whether you may know it or not know it. You probably know a podcaster at some point, and then from there, help them get monetized. This is going to be
Absolutely.
the quickest way to get somebody monetized, so that they can, grow from there and see where their podcast takes them.
And we're on all social medias now. So Podcast AI, you can pretty much find on every platform there
Yep.
is. You'll see what we're kind of doing to get started. So please follow us on any of the platforms so you can keep up to date of when we're actually going to be launching the Kickstarter, link to the Kickstarter, as well as following the journey for us to get ready to launch this, to make it live. So please
Yeah.
definitely like, share, subscribe, not just this podcast, not just this podcast episode, but even our social medias. We also have business after hours on pretty much all the social medias as well. So if you can't remember what the name of it was, come find us on there, and we should be sharing that as well on
We're gonna
these
have the links
platforms.
to all of them, so it'll be easy. They'll be down below. So all the social medias and the Kickstarter will be right down below. Easy for y'all to click on and go visit those pages. Well, Jared, as we wrap this up, you got anything else you want to add, or?
No, I mean, again, thank you for taking the time to, just listen to us. Hopefully you've enjoyed the journey so far. Hopefully this journey is not obviously done. And I honestly look forward to being able to change the way we do podcasting forever.
I agree. I agree. It's exciting times, and we hope that you guys follow along with us on the journey, whether you just follow us just to see where this takes us, or just to support us at least. We definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely.
With that said, we hope that you guys get on board, help us out a little bit just by sharing this message. and let's see where Podcast can take us.
Absolutely.
All right. With that said, y'all have a good one. We look forward to growing Podcast with you guys.
Welcome to the Business After Hours, where the ties loosen, the suit relax, and we talk business without the boardroom. Grab your favorite drink, kick back, and let's dive into the world of business after hours.